Hi everyone, it's Kathy and welcome back to my channel. Today I am super excited to show you 3 different ways that you can add layers to your macrame wall hangings. So this is sort of a wall hanging tutorial, but I don't go super into detail on some of the elements. So what I'm really focusing on in today's video is just showing you different methods of adding those layers to your wall hanging. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's just get right into it and get started. So what I've done to start is I just made a center piece to layer my work around to show you guys different ways to layer. So you can do anything you would like for your little center piece, or you actually don't even technically need a center piece. This just adds another dimension of the layers. All I did here was I made diamonds using double half hitch knots, and I did square knots in the center of the small ones. And this bigger one here is just doubled up. So if you guys need a tutorial on how to do this, let me know and I will create one for you. Otherwise, just go ahead and watch a tutorial on how to make double half hitch knots and you should be able to make this just fine. Now, our first method of adding a layer to this wall hanging is to bring in a second rope and attach that one rope to both ends using a lark's head knot. So I'm just going to bring in that second rope and I'm going to make one side pretty short, and I'm going to attach it to my dowel rod with a lark's head knot. So I just send it over the dowel rod, the loops on the back, I pull them through, I'm going to place it over next to my other pieces and I'm going to pull that tight. Now to secure this lark's head knot, I'm just going to take the short end and I'm going to send it behind the long rope to form a loop on the side, curl it around to go through that loop, and I just tug on it to tighten. And that's just going to secure that into place, and then later we can actually go and trim off this short piece of string. Now I'm going to take this long end and I'm going to decide how long I want it to be. So I think I'm going to want it to hang about this low. You can make this as long or as short as you want, but typically you'd want it to kind of match up so you can see your main design, and then this would just add an extra layer. And so to attach this to my dowel rod, I'm going to send it over and then bring it in front. So it just went behind and it curls in front of itself, where I take it behind my dowel rod, over, and into the loop. And then I just pull on it to tighten. And I'm going to slide it kind of into place too. Just like that. And again, I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to curl it around to secure with a half hitch knot. Again, I can trim this off as needed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pieces of rope and just attach them to this with a lark's head knot. So again, I just fold my pieces of rope evenly in half. I send it over the new string. There's a loop behind. I pull those 2 strings through and I pull it tight. And there we go. So this is what it will look like when it's all filled in with your lark's head knots to make that layer of fun fringe. Now if you want to add another dimension to this, you can do a design on this fringe. So you could do double half-hitch knots following the line. You could add berry knots, square knots, whatever you would like you could add. You could go down and add little square knots throughout. It's your layer, so you can be creative with it. For this example, I think I'm just going to leave it as is. And now I'm going to show you the next method of adding another layer to your wall hangings. So for our second method of adding a layer to wall hangings is we're going to make some sort of chain using your favorite knot on both sides. And then what we do when we finish those long chains is we're going to drape them over and connect them together in the middle. So you can do this with a braid, a spiral knot, square knots. You could use more strings and do a diamond pattern. So you can be creative with what you use to make your long chain of knots. I'm going to be using square knots for this example, and I'm going to have a loop stick out on one side on both sides. So on this side, I'm going to start by doing a left-facing square knot with a loop on the left side. And just a little tip also, when you're making these long chains, especially if you're using a square knot or a spiral knot, the two middle ropes in these will always stay the same length. So go ahead and when you attach them with a lark's head knot, make those two ropes in the middle the length you're going to want the layer to be. So now to make my first square knot, I'm going to take the left side, cross over the two ropes in the middle to form a loop. Then the string on the right goes over, behind the two in the middle, and through the loop. I pull that tight. And I take the right side to cross over, so we have a loop. The left goes over that, behind the two, and through the loop. And I pull it tight. On my next square knot, I'm going to leave a little loop on the left end. To do this, I'm going to take the left side again to cross over. The right goes over that, behind the two, and through. And when I pull these ropes, I want to make sure I'm pulling the right side more than the left. So it might help to hold the loop out and then pull and kind of pull and slide it up and tighten. It's a little tricky at first, but it gets easier when you tie the right side. So we take the right over, left goes over that, behind, pull it tight, and then slide it into place like that. And I'm just leaving a little gap, nothing huge. Then once I'm finished with this side, I'm just going to repeat on the right side, and this time my little loops are going to stick out on the right, so I'm going to use right facing square knots. So to make a right facing square knot, I just take the side on the right to cross over the two in the middle to form a loop. The left string goes over that, behind the two in the middle, through the loop. I pull it tight. The left side to cross over the two in the middle, the side on the right goes over that, behind the two, and through the loop. And I pull it tight. And then I'm just gonna make those side loops as I did before. So this is now both sides completed, and I have 15 square knots on each side in case you wanted to repeat this specific pattern. That's how many I used. And now what I'm going to do is take both ends and connect them in the middle with a square knot. Now, just so you notice here, I did run out of rope, so I added some. I'll take care of these ends at the end of my project. Just like that. And you're going to notice that my ropes here got pretty small. I don't think I used as much as I should have, so I'll remember that for future reference. But to kind of make it look nicer, I'm just going to gather all my ropes, even these two that I had kind of ran out of, and I'm going to just use a gathering knot to kind of tie a fun tassel that hangs straight down, which is also the third method I was going to show you guys. So I'm going to do a gathering knot and make kind of a choppy textured tassel right here. Just like that. And so now let's move on officially to our third method, which is adding tassels and fringe to our projects. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to add lark's head knots of string to each outer loop here. I'm going to be using the same color I used for the square knot, so my white color, but you could obviously mix it up and go back and use like the purple color or whatever your fun color was, if you're using color at all. And my little strings are only about 9 inches for your reference. So I just take it and fold it in half. Try my best to squeeze it through the gap. Then use the loop to pull the two ends through. And pull it tight. And here we go. So I added all that fringe to each loop using a lark's head knot, and it makes really fun added texture / layer to your project. So this is fringe, or you could consider this a small tassel, but I also want to show you guys how you can make a larger tassel, and I'm going to do this in the center of my diamond here. I'm going to use my purple color, and I'm going to cut 3 ropes about 8 to 9 inches long, and I'm going to gather those together and brush it out so I have fringe, and then I'll show you how to attach it. Okay, so once you have your grouping of string combed out, so you're kind of made a giant smooth piece of rope. And if you want this thicker, you can use more rope or use just a thicker rope in general. So if you see these 2 ropes here in the middle of my diamond, I'm going to send one end through the gap on the right and the other end on the gap through the left. Now I'm gonna make sure both ends are even. This is a little tricky because it's hard, you can't see the other side through the back of my project, but I'm going to kind of peek and make them even. And once it's even, I'm just gonna send both ends through the center of that diamond, so it comes in between those 2 ropes. A little tricky since it's such a small diamond and I'm using such a big amount of rope, so you can make this little tassel thinner so that you're not fighting with it as much and you don't risk tearing up the piece. But that's all you do. And now I'm just going to go back through and carefully brush it out. I don't want to tug on the actual project, so I'm going to be careful. Put my hand behind and just gently brush it out, just to smooth those pieces that I kind of destroyed when I was shoving it through the diamond. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to trim this pretty short. I don't want this as long as I have it, so I'm going to cut it. Just like that. So that is another way that you can add layers to your projects. And here the wall hanging is all complete. I really like the way that this turned out. I think it's a nice boho field. That would be my puppy. It's a really boho themed wall hanging, and I really like this type of style, and I hope I can explore it a little more in the upcoming year. And there you go, guys. This was 3 different ways that you can add layers to your wall hanging. I hope you guys found this video helpful and inspiring, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.